Welcome back to another live shared news panel, ready to recap episode 3 of The Kardashians. As always, I'm your host, Morgan Wright, and I am joined today by Blakely McHugh, Kayla Thompson. Before we get into episode 3 of The Kardashians, make sure you subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of our lives. I don't know about you guys, but this is my favorite part of the week. This is my favorite panel to do. Blakely and Kayla, how are you
Wow.
guys?
Aw.
I love when it's the girls. We need like a 4-person panel to get Allison in, and then we would have
I know.
everybody. I know, but I love
Yes.
talking Kardashians with you guys. I'm great. It's Thursday. We're almost at the end of the work week, and I'm with some of my favorite people, so it doesn't get better.
Oh, Blakely, so sweet. No, seriously, y'all know that I am just so appreciative. I feel like Clayton, appreciative of you guys for pulling me back in to Kardashians. Like I'm back in.
We got
I'm
you.
fully in. And it like I've loved watching this season. I feel like it's my little escape. Like just getting into their whole like glamorous life is like a little hour of an escape for me. So yeah, I'm loving it. Excited to talk about it.
Were you not
All right.
were you not watching the Kardashians prior, Kayla?
I wasn't. I had stopped for a long time. I used to watch
Oh.
like their original show, Keeping Up with Kardashians,
Okay.
but yeah, I hadn't watched the reboot, but coming on with you guys, I was like,
Got
okay,
it.
let me watch it again. So
You
it's
gotta
been
keep
fun.
Gotta get on
up. You
it.
gotta keep
I know,
up.
right? Gotta keep
And,
up.
when I was getting ready for this live and I see Kayla, you also got the memo. I was channeling my Kim Kardashian slick back bun look. It might be because I haven't washed my hair all week, but we're just gonna go with the
Me.
fact that I was channeling Kim Kardashian.
Listen,
Kayla
I was
also
just
shared
gonna
she was
say.
channeling.
I was just telling Blakely before we started, like I felt like, the big, oversized like blazer thing, the bun. I was like, okay,
Yep.
this is perfect for Kardashians recap because I'm channeling Kim and Milan right now.
Yes, yes. And that's exactly where we're going to kick things off because we said last week we didn't get a whole lot of Kim in episode 2, but she comes in hot in episode 3. I feel like the majority of the episode is definitely about Kim. We get a lot of behind the scenes of her in Milan with the Prada fittings, the whole trip with her and Kendall walking in the Prada show, and more. The first thing I want to discuss is I don't know if you guys caught this, but Kim Kardashian did not know what tortellini was. Did anybody else? Like, I was shocked.
I
ate
didn't
tortellini
catch
once a week.
this.
Yeah, I
Yes, it
caught
was
it.
when they
It
were
was
at
really
the restaurant,
random.
and she was like, "What is tortellini?" I'm like, "Kim, you have passed the baby bar at this point. We got to get you on to the tortellini game."
Right. And you would think with
She
her
didn't
traveling
order
so
it though,
much, she would
right?
like already know. Yeah, no, she didn't order
No,
it,
she
but
didn't order it. She ended up
yeah.
ordering something else, but just a little funny,
Yeah.
lighthearted moment to get us started. Something else I wanted to talk about with Kim and Kendall in Milan. Kendall was stuck in a hotel room for days because nobody could see her red hair. I understand they're Kardashians, but how excessive is this that she literally had to hide out in her hotel room in Italy?
I
Yeah.
mean, I
I'm
kind
like,
of
is
get
that deep?
it, right? It's okay. No, it's not that deep because right, it's just a fashion show. But like, I do think this is a really big deal. Like, but my thought is, why didn't she just wait to dye her hair once she got out there? Like, what's the point of doing everything to go out there and sit for 4 or 5 days, never leave your room so you can't show your hair? I mean, go out there then get your hair dyed once you're there. That was kind of my thought process behind it.
Yeah, and I felt like there were ways to get around it, even being in Milan. Like, y'all are Kardashians. I know there's some kind of fashion statement where y'all can like put on some kind of skull cap and make it a look and just kind of be, and then maybe build the intrigue of like, what's going on with like, did Kendall shave her
Yeah.
head or something? Like, what is going on? I don't know. Like, I think she still could have like enjoyed Milan, Italy with her sister and not been in like the hotel room.
Well, do you think
every
that
day,
she enjoyed
right?
it afterwards?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
I feel
I'm
like
sure
they had to have had some
hopefully
time for fun after.
Yeah, I hope so. I
Yeah,
hope
I
so.
mean, they're
Kim was
Kardashians.
like, I
She's
need to
probably
go
been
home
to
now.
Milan 100 times. I mean, maybe not 100. I don't
True.
know. But
Yeah.
That's
you
true.
guys, I don't know about you, but I loved seeing the dynamic between Kim and Kendall. I feel like we haven't really gotten a lot of this before with the older sisters and the younger sisters. A lot of time we group, the older three together and then we group the younger two together. So what did you think about as Kim says, her playing Mama Bear with Kendall on this trip to Milan?
I loved just kind of looking back at the old photos and footage that they have because I mean they've been filming for so long that you forget that like Kendall and Kylie were like basically birthed on TV. I mean they were so young, and there's such an age difference between them. So it was kind of nice to see like wow they really did and do have this special relationship. But again, like the Jenner sisters just are so much less a part of the Kardashians show that we miss out so much on what their actual relationship is with the other sisters. I feel like we've seen Khloe and Kylie a lot together. We know that they have a really strong bond, but I feel like we don't often see the Jenners with Kim or with Kourtney.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of curious about that. Like, just in the past seasons. I know early on, because I was watching it when I was like their age, or like all the same age, I think. Like we were all just kids. So it's like, what storyline is Kendall and Kylie gonna have in like season 2 of Keeping Up with Kardashians? Like
Yeah.
nothing. They're like 2 years old. But yeah, I was curious if they had any kind of like growth between those relationships with them as they got older. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, I think this was probably my favorite part of the episode, just because, again, like it was an escape for me to watch like Kim and Kendall, well, mainly Kim, like be in Milan, and it's like for this Prada fashion show, and like Kim's trying on these looks to like help promote Prada, and like all these. It was like really fun to watch it, but especially seeing like Kim take on this momager role for Kendall, and just her give the backstory of like I kind of slip into that role because I was 16 years older than Kendall, so I kind of was like her mom when I grew up, when she grew up, and it makes a lot of sense. And I think it was cool to watch the both her being them, I don't know, being in this glamorous space, but then they're like being this groundedness of their relationship, and like the fact that Kendall called her and was like anxious and just she's like, yeah, I think it was good knowing that like her sister would be there. It was cool. It was like relatable, but also like everywhere they go, there's cameras and there's paparazzi. It's like still very like, a different world. But yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought that was my favorite part of the episode probably.
We also get this scene in Milan where Kim is talking about the text messages that she's receiving from Kanye in real time about ditching the white glasses and what is that orange jumpsuit. Now, were we surprised that she took his digs in such, in my opinion, a very lighthearted fashion? She even kind of dished it back to him. What were your guys' thoughts on that scene?
I was not happy about those messages, right? We had all of season 1 where Kim has been talking about like one of the hardest parts from her divorce with Kanye was finding her own identity, finding her own sense of style, being who she wants to be, who Kim is, not who Kanye wants Kim to be, right? So we see her, she's embodying like this new Kim. She's embodying what her own style is, what she wants it. And now Kanye's coming in and like trying to knock her down about it. And maybe it's all fun and games, but I did not like it. Like who cares if you don't like the glasses? I didn't like the orange jumpsuit either. I didn't think it was cute, but like Kim's figuring it out, and like the last thing she needs is to have her ex-husband like potentially putting doubt in her mind that she doesn't know how to style herself when that's already been an issue for her. So I was really irritated about the text messages. I can't tell if Kim is actually affected by it and she just put on a good front, and she's just because she's been very protective of Kanye on this show to not talk bad about him, to not make him look bad, so she very well could be just making light of it so that it doesn't make Kanye look bad. So I don't really know actually, and I love that she kind of gave a dig back like, well, you've been wearing the same shoes. I mean, Morgan, how many weeks was it the last season when we were talking when I was like, what the heck were those shoes he was wearing? It was the ugliest outfit ever. I feel like those gotta be the shoes that she was talking about. Like once you change your look, you can comment on mine. So I was glad she gave a little dig back in there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I kind of had a different perspective on that
Hmm.
text exchange. I felt like it was nice to see them like be so what I thought was kind of like cool enough for him to like
Yeah.
text her and make a joke, and her like kind of tit for tat like joking with each other about fashion, which was something that I guess yes, like she felt maybe I didn't know like that history of her feeling a little maybe self-conscious about that when it came to Kanye, but I think regardless it's definitely something that they connected on a lot. Um
Mhm.
and so I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And I would definitely be more with you, Blakely, if I don't know. I think the fact that like she willingly said Kanye texted me this, like she
Mm.
didn't have to
Yeah.
say that at all. I wouldn't have known
Yeah, true.
whether she got a text from him or not. So like I think she really was like this is showing that like we can still be family, and we're still like he's still my family regardless of our relationship ending. But I think if anything, I was like, man, I wish that Kanye wasn't actively currently doing what he's doing now. Like I feel like
Yeah.
he having the Kardashians or having Kim, and even like a lot of them kind of operate this way of just like with Grace, and are like, I'm not going to drag you through the mud about our relationship. Like you're still the father of my kids. Like, I think it showed Kim in like a really, really great light, and it kind of reflected on Kanye now really bad, because we're seeing what he's doing now, and we're like, yo, seeing how Kim is
Mm.
talking about him on the show, and it's like, Kanye, she's so nice to you. Like, why are you like this? So that's kind of how I saw the
I
text,
really
but it's definitely interesting. Yeah.
I really did, and touching on that, what you just said, like I really thought it was an interesting juxtaposition too, right? We have Kanye here commenting on Kim's fashion choices. Meanwhile, in real time, a lot of people, I don't want to say the world because there's obviously people who are on Kanye's side, but a lot of people are now, bashing Kanye for his design choices. So I thought it was very ironic and an interesting juxtaposition of him bashing somebody, or maybe not bashing is the right word, what he's doing to Kim, but
Picking
critiquing,
on.
criticizing, commenting, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, picking on what her fashion choices were now in real time. We've got a lot of people who are questioning his design choices. So I thought it was a very interesting juxtaposition of what's
Mhm.
going on in the world right now. But Morgan, okay, where are you? Because Kayla and I have very different
Yeah.
interpretations from that. Where are you at?
It's funny because I kind of went through the progression, like, with both of you. Like, when I first saw it come on the screen, I was like, "Ugh, like, why does he have to do it?" Last season, he told her she looked like Marge
Mm-hmm.
Simpson, and we were all like, "Kanye,
Yes.
just don't." But then when I saw she was able to kinda give it back to him, I was like, "Okay, maybe this is just how they connect these days," because it's
Totally.
not romantic anymore, but they do still have things in common when it comes to fashion. And I mean, maybe not right at this moment, but I think that she does still value his opinion when it comes to, what she's wearing. He did kind of mold her. I don't want to say that, but he guided her, in the beginning when it came to fashion. And she's even said that, that Kanye introduced me to all these people. He really opened my eyes to the
Mm-hmm.
fashion world. I also thought it was interesting that Kanye was keeping such close tabs on Kim. But no, every single outfit
Yeah,
that she was
Mm.
wearing in Milan and to be
it's
texting her
true.
about it, that's kind of what like raised my eyebrows even more so than the actual comments themselves. Like, oh,
I didn't think
he
about that.
really cares to be like, looking at
It's a
every
good
single
point.
outfit that she's doing when she's shopping for Pete Davidson, you know?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yes,
Yeah.
literally.
And that's our next point on the topic discussion list. We talked last week about how we didn't really know how much or how little, we would get out of that relationship on screen. And it's kind of nothing new what we saw with what she's saying. He's the sweetest, most thoughtful person. I feel like we're kind of getting the same regurgitation of peak
Mm-hmm.
content since he's not actually going to be in the season. And what I found interesting about this is that the scene didn't really add anything to the episode, um, other than the fact that she was shopping for Pete. So, in my opinion, I think maybe they kept this scene in to appease the audience and give them some peak content without really giving them anything. What do you guys think?
You want to take it away,
What
Kayla?
do you think? Sure, yeah, I can. I think, again, I think I see it differently. I think from a storyline perspective, wow, words. From a storyline perspective, like, I think it's smart to show from Kim's side this relationship between her and Pete, and like for the show to take initiative and opportunity to give her the platform to showcase, you know, what that looked like for her from beginning to end. So I think this is kind of a part of that. And so that's kind of what I thought. I thought like, oh, this is a smart way, because I don't like what you were saying. I guess they're maybe appeasing the fans, and that they didn't have to like add that into the episode because they didn't really do anything. But like even at the restaurant, like she mentioned, oh, like Pete's gonna go with Jeff Bezos on like this spaceship, like, or whatever. It's like I don't know. I like that they're not trying to omit it at all, at least, because it would just be really disingenuous, because this is her life at this point in time. And so I think it's I think it's a smart thing to, from a production standpoint, storyline standpoint, to like go ahead and show the entire journey from Kim's point of view, and like what actually happened, without like just having Pete all the way in the show, like filming with her day to day or whatever. So I think that's probably, I liked it. I like that she was like, hey, I know Pete comes off this way, like he dates all these hot girls, and like, yeah, he does, but like this is how I see him. This is like why I'm with him, even like he's sweet, he's thoughtful, da da da. So you're like, oh, you're getting insight on her relationship, but I think it's more intentional than maybe others are taking it.
I'm curious, when was Milan Fashion Week? Do we know?
I have no idea.
Because what I'm trying to piece together in my head is if we're still at a point where she's trying to maybe prove her relationship a little bit to people. And obviously, like, we already know how things ended, but maybe that's kind of why when they were filming this, or filming that scene of her shopping for him, I didn't really see it in the way that you saw it, Morgan, until you said it. And then I was like, huh, yeah, it didn't really add anything to anything to the show. But I think that there's an element of appeasing, because they know that that's what the viewer, they tease that for the viewers in the trailer. We got a little bit of Pete in the end. Like when you dangle the treat in front of us, at some point you have to give it to us, or give us a nibble, or we're gonna walk away and not want it any longer. So I feel like there's an element to appeasing, but also like this is what's going on in her world, and they need to give us a little bit of Pete without giving us all a Pete, because clearly, you know, not diving full into the show.
Right. We'll see. I'm really interested to see if they even keep that part of the trailer in the show. I just,
there's
you know, we've
no
heard
way
that
they take it out.
There's no way they take it out.
I've watched too much Bachelor.
There's a reason why they showed it.
Half the stuff is in the trailer and then half of it's not. It's the same with Bravo shows.
Yes.
They do it all the time. So we'll see. That'll be a running bet here on Shared News, if they keep it in or take it out. But I want to get to another dynamic duo we saw this episode, and that is Kris and Khloe. They go to a dispensary to get Kris some gummies to help manage the hip pain. I laughed so
dying.
hard. This definitely beats grocery shopping with Kylie, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Not even in the same like world.
Yeah.
That was iconic. And I gotta be honest, so I'm in California as well. Weed is legal here. I've done some weed gummies before. And honestly, that is exactly how you behave. You are just laughing at the dumbest things. You don't even know why you're laughing. I was dying when Khloe called Kris's actions doing the peekaboo, because it totally was the peekaboo, like her trying to hide herself. And poor Corey over here, he's just sitting there like he looks like, I think he's just sober Sally over there, having zero idea what's going on. This was like such an iconic moment. I was living for every single second of it.
Yeah, production was like just doing their job. I'm sure they were like, Kris, why don't, before you talk to your doctor and physical therapist, why don't you just try this? Like, let's do
Yeah.
something ridiculously hilarious for the show. And yeah, to have Khloe there, I think Khloe was the perfect person to have there because she's just gonna be like, Mom, what? Like laughing
Yeah.
and just being like, what are you doing? So I thought it was just like, I thought that was so funny. And Corey's just like, I don't know, man. I'm just here.
He's
I
like,
don't
why am I out
I
here
thought it
with
was
these
so
two?
funny. Yeah. Oh my
And can I
gosh,
add,
I
like,
That was
loved it.
aside from, like, obviously,
Mhm.
like, this was like really just kind of funny, good laughter, but I really felt like there was a huge deeper thing going on here that I thought it was really beautiful for Chloe, because she even said it afterwards, like, to just laugh like that. I haven't laughed like that in so
Mhm.
long, to be carefree, just to
Yeah.
spend time with my mom like this. And and I obviously, it was induced and it's not the real world, but I really feel like this was like an important trip for her to have, and fun moment and carefree. And I thought, like, aside from just laughing at them because it was hilarious, it was also kind of a beautiful moment in terms of where Chloe's kind of mental space is at right now as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I agree
agree.
with
And I
that.
think yeah, I was just gonna add too. This is before I think she like the high kicked in, but she was like talking to Chloe about like her texting. I don't know if you were about to bring this up, Morgan, but like
Yes,
texting with
no.
Tristan and that whole thing. Um, but yeah, I thought that was just interesting that like I don't know, they brought that up and like we know that like I don't know if Kris knows the whole story of Khloe and Tristan at this point, but we know because we saw it like the
Hmm.
you know kind of fast forward of it in
Mm-hmm.
like that first episode, and so her being like, like how like life can change on a dime, and Chloe's like, yep, I thought it was really, really a nice touch to that scene. I'm acting like it was like all planned out, but it was like a
It
nice,
probably was.
addition to that scene, for us, like knowing kind of like what's going on with Chloe or like presently.
Hmm.
And then Chloe, like in the ITM or in the interview, saying like just her bit about, I have to just like let go and let God. Holding on to
Yeah.
it only hurts me. I really related to that moment.
Can I say, though, now you bring up a good point, because now I'm feeling a little bit confused on the timeline of things, because was Kris still continuing a positive, open communication, texting here and there relationship with Tristan? For some reason in my head, I was having it at this point, everybody's kind of cut communication off with Tristan. So, like,
Yeah,
I
Mm.
need to know now when.
I also don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's really confusing because the first episode was technically 6 months later. So, the first episode was okay, this is 6 months in the future and everybody knows now and it's out. But then they go back in time and it's just confusing because like you said, Kayla, we've seen it, but I don't
Yeah.
know what the rest of the
But
family knows at this point.
But in the last episode, correct me if I'm wrong, but because I like to make stuff up sometimes. Chloe, like, Kris already knows that Chloe's having a baby via surrogate, right? Because remember that apartment, and then Cece comes and she tells Cece they're having a child. So
Mhm.
technically, in the way that the episodes have panned, because that moment was not in the first episode, right? That was in the second episode.
Mhm.
That was
I
last
think
week.
so.
So technically, this scene, this moment, should have been after, in the way that they've aired things, after she's told
Hmm.
Cece that she has a child, so Kris would know that she's having the baby. But Kris's commentary on texting Tristan, crazy how life works out, like positive, happy, upbeat about Tristan, Chloe's response doesn't match the timeline that Hulu has put things in, and that she should know
Yeah.
about the pregnancy. Am I making sense?
Yeah, well, I just also want to
Hmm.
bring up the fact that they don't air things in chronological order. If you
Mm.
remember,
Yeah.
we had this big discussion last season because
Mm-hmm.
that group meeting that Chloe didn't show up to, everyone found out that it was actually filmed 4 months later than,
Yeah.
whenever it was originally so that's why I too am confused. We're getting some fact checks in our script saying Milan Fashion Week was February of 2022. So I guess that's where we're at in February, which the news
Okay.
broke what in December, right? At least to them.
Yes.
Is that right?
Hmm.
Well, to Kim and Khloe, but who knows if Khloe told everybody else, but she had to tell Kim
Right.
in that
Yeah.
moment.
Right.
Right.
But
Woo! We can't keep up,
It's
quite literally. We have no
confusing.
idea.
we
I
need
Yeah.
a
want to move on to
timeline.
Kourtney. Yeah, I want to move on to Kourtney because we could talk about Tristan and Khloe all day. But we also got some behind the scenes from Kourtney's bustle shoot. And she talks about the
Mhm.
body changes that she's gone through during her IVF journey. She says that she's into her thicker body and doesn't like to see old photos of herself when she was thinner because she just knows how unhappy she was in that time period in life.
Mm.
What I find interesting is that it, it you have to be careful how you say this, but it's such a sharp contrast to what her sisters are doing right now. Even in the
Mhm.
last episode,
Mm.
when they have that conversation in the bedroom with Chloe, where your sisters are worried about your weight loss, and she's like, "Really? I'm too skinny? That's great." Meanwhile, you have
Mm.
Kourtney, who's like, "I'm really learning to love myself in my skin, and I love." Being a little heavier than I have been the whole rest of my life. And we can speculate here, but I wonder how Chloe and Kim feel about what Kourtney is saying in that segment.
Hmm.
It's got to be kind of
Yeah.
awkward, right? And also, it's interesting because,
Mm.
Kourtney just did this interview this past week on a podcast where she said, I'm just not as close with my sister Chloe right now, where in
Mm.
years past, they've been super close. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
maybe that is just one example of how the sisters are just in a different headspace right now. I mean, what are your
Mhm.
guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, I think Kourtney has always been a bit of an odd one out when it came to the Kardashians. She's kind of always done things a little bit differently, right? Like even going to college, if you will. And I know that they weren't, as famous when she went to college, and that's kind of part of the reason why. But and then her health, she's always been into the organic stuff. I mean, she didn't even have a microwave in her home. Um she she didn't get married, but she had children, and then also her focus was being a mom. And remember, Kourtney and Kim gave her so much crap about wanting to be a mom but not doing the bit. Like her, I feel like she has always been, Kim and Khloe have always been much more alike than I feel like Kourtney has been with the rest of them. So I don't know that they're really, if I don't know if I were Khloe or Kim, I'd be thinking anything about this. I'd be like, well, we're proud of our sister to embrace her body and love her body the way that it was. Honestly, the
Yeah.
Khloe Kris scene and this scene were my favorite of the episode because I just thought it was so beautiful, because so many people criticize the Kardashians for creating
Mhm.
unrealistic beauty standards. And we've been seeing over the
Mhm.
last year how much commentary, like the public, the media has had on Kourtney Kardashian's body. I mean, we have, it's,
Mhm.
you would be lying if you said that you haven't noticed that it has changed, or if you haven't questioned, well, is she pregnant? Not that she was heavy in the sense of looking pregnant, but it is clear that she has gained some weight, and not in a bad way at all. But it's been, I feel like everybody has been able to see that. And so I think it's really beautiful for her to say, hey, like, I'm happy with the body that I'm in. Like, I'm embracing it. I love my curves. I love a little extra something for Travis to grab. And on top of that, I think it's so beautiful how Travis is supporting her and just saying, you're perfect in every way. You're beautiful in every way. Like, I love you just the way you are. And I think it's just there's so many important lessons to be had just from that little section of, one, embracing yourself, of two, being with a partner who loves you and supports you and uplifts you and makes you feel beautiful just the way you are. And yeah, I think that it was a beautiful moment.
Totally. Totally. I think it's like a big deal to hear a Kardashian speak about body
Mm-hmm.
positivity like this. Like, that's huge that, Kourtney was able to speak from that space and from that perspective, in direct contrast to maybe someone like a Chloe or a Kim who are maybe doing things to get a certain body type that they want, um, which is their choice, and that's a whole different story. But I think it's also important for like Kourtney Kardashian to be able to like speak on this herself. And I think the fact, or speak on that, kind of accepting her body, and I think it's even more important, or there's so many layers to it, because there's like the piece of I was super skinny before, but like I wasn't, like that was it, that was the result of me being so unhappy and so anxious and living in toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not tie that to like beauty and happiness because I'm
Mm-hmm.
skinny, you know?
Right.
And then even another layer of that is like, yo, I made it, I have this body because of me trying to have a baby, going through IVF. And, my mom went through IVF to have me. Like my sister went through IVF to have like her son. And like, it's definitely a journey, like for women in their bodies. And so for
Mm-hmm.
her to like really own that, it was just, yeah, like Blakely was saying, it's super beautiful, and very like relatable, but also encouraging and empowering. And it's just good to see, like, yes, you can notice the difference between the photo she was showing before and how she looks now. And it's like she
Mm-hmm.
looks beautiful. She looks beautiful now. Excuse
Yeah.
me. So yeah, like, sorry y'all, I'm like trying to fight through this
No,
sickness.
you're
But yeah, you guys get my point.
yeah.
This is actually probably my second favorite part of the episode.
Morgan, didn't in that recent interview with Amanda Hirsch, I believe is her last name, one of the reasons why she stated that she wasn't as close with Khloe right now is because like Khloe's really focused on her health and working out and stuff like that, right?
I honestly
Mm,
didn't listen to it. I just read the headlines about it. So I only
Mm.
read, the first little snippet of it. If I wanted to get more context, I would have to go listen to it. But I'm with you,
Yeah.
Kayla. This actually was my favorite part of the episode because I feel like it is, like we've all said, it's super important to hear from somebody like Kourtney. And I just love her new zest for life, and just the way that she's
Mhm.
accepted herself. She is the oldest sister, so maybe that self acceptance and love and compassion for yourself has come from, her years of experience. But we do get one scene with Kylie, and this was probably my least favorite part of the episode because it was just it was just to have one scene with Kylie, right? Like a behind the scenes of her shooting something for her Kylie
Oh.
Cosmetics. I think, the
I was
last
like, I don't even
season,
remember it.
yeah,
yeah, I
last
was
season
gonna say I
viewers
forgot about it.
complained about not seeing Kendall and Kylie, and I noticed that this time around every sister is in every episode, even if it's just for, a minute or two. Do you think this
Mm.
was a
Mhm.
strategic decision, moving forward, to make sure that all sisters are included in each episode, even if it's just for a moment?
I mean, I'm sure maybe there was some background thought to that to make sure everybody is involved at least a little bit. And I think it's obviously a strategic move in terms of Kylie's business. So why wouldn't she want
Mhm.
a snippet of it being, portrayed on the show?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think in the editing room, they were like, we have to have Kylie in this episode. So, oh, the footage from that photo shoot. Let's just throw that in there. Like, perfect. Um, but I think while they were filming, I think it would have been smart to add Kylie into some of the other storylines that they were maybe building during that filming time. Like,
Hmm.
even as little as like having Kylie call in to Kendall, like checking in on her with the Milan shoot. Like, and
Mm.
even for Kendall, like getting a little bit more, like if we're already there filming with Kim, like having a film crew there with Kendall as she's preparing. Like I thought we were gonna get more of that. And I don't know how like
Hmm.
exclusive
Hmm.
that is or whatever, but at least like her in her room just being like talking about how she's a little stressed, maybe on the phone with Kylie. So like I think there are maybe some more creative ways to get Kylie injected into the episode rather than just like throwing a random scene of her doing something. But
Yeah,
like,
I kind
yeah,
of
like maybe
feel
even
like,
her showing up to like the Kourtney shoot. I don't know, something,
yeah,
you
I
know?
feel like Kylie is always just kind of off doing her own thing. And she's like,
Mm,
if you guys want to come along for the ride, sure. But it's definitely not like, the older three where they're always doing stuff together. And actually,
Hmm.
that reminds me of what we were just talking about, Blakely, with the Kourtney interview. Kourtney was saying that she's in a different place in life, and she thinks that maybe Kim and Kourtney bonded because they both had kids around the same time.
Yes.
So it's like, what you could even
mm,
lean into that with Kylie, who, also just had a baby, but I don't know. that's pretty much it for this episode. It wasn't my favorite episode. There were moments, but I thought it you started so strong with that Khloe episode that everything else kind of just seems dull. But we
Yeah.
laughed, we cried, we did it all. So next week we do get the variety interview gone wrong, with major
Mm.
backlash for Kim, a closer look into Chris's possible hip replacement, and then Martha Stewart comes over. So to wrap things up, what are you looking forward to most for next week?
Probably addressing the get your ass up and work comment, to see how it actually
Hmm.
went down kind of behind the scenes and for the family and what Kim's thought process was, because I mean I've got to believe that there was an apology or something, but I felt like the outpour of criticism was so grand compared to if there was an apology from Kim or the response. Like, it didn't feel like it was balanced to me. I mean, I can't even
Mhm.
remember it at this point, but I remember people being pissed about it. So I'm excited to see the behind the scenes of that going down.
Yeah, honestly, same for me because I only saw the meme of "Get your ass up and work," and that's my one of my
Mhm.
favorite memes. Like, I love that meme, and I'm like, I'm from the perspective that's like, I actually think Kim Kardashian is a very hard worker. So I'm like, yeah, y'all need to get up and work. Like, Kim works hard. So I'm kind of like lost on what the issue was. So I'm actually curious of what the backlash
Mm.
even was because I wasn't aware of it. So I'm very intrigued on that. And and definitely seeing more of kind of like what's gonna happen with Kris, of course. But and yeah, I feel like we're gonna keep getting little tidbits with Pete here and there. Maybe Pete will have something to say with the Kim thing. But yeah, I agree with Blakely. That's probably like the biggest thing. I'm like, oh, interested to see this backlash thing and how they handle it because I think we don't
Yeah.
always get to see that. Yeah.
Well, we will be right back here next week to discuss all the things that will go down on episode 4. In the meantime, if you want to drop in a comment, an opinion, we love to hear your guys' thoughts as well. What was your favorite part of the episode? You can also come say hi to myself, Blakely, and Kayla on our social media pages. I think that they're on the screen right now. They might not be, but you could just Google it. It's not that hard to find. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and ring the bell too before you leave so you don't miss out on our next live Kardashian update. It'll probably be next Thursday. As always, I'm your host, Morgan Wright, joined by Blakely McHugh and Kayla Thompson, and we will see you all back here next week. Bye.
Bye.